Hi everyone, my name's Kate Kalthoff and welcome to a Stamping to Share video. Today I'm going to share a swap card with you. This is what it is. It's so cute. I made it for convention, so I will be swapping this with one of my swap groups. And it uses a couple of new things here. It uses a new stamp set, and I believe the stamp set is called Flower Patch. It looks like this. It's one of our photopolymer stamp sets. And this is how they package some of the new bigger photopolymers now, is they put it in a wood mount box, and then you have your clear mounts in here. And I really like how this is all coming together with Stampin' Up, introducing their new photopolymer line. And also the new photopolymer line that Stampin' Up themselves are manufacturing now has no odor. So it really, actually, when I opened this up, I didn't notice any kind of an unusual smell at all. So that's really a bonus. And then another stamp that, or another thing that we're going to be using that's new is, you'll notice, see how glimmery this is? It's like Dazzling Diamonds, except it's a new paper from Stampin' Up called Dazzling Diamonds Glimmer Paper. And I cut that out with the coordinating framelits that go with the Flower Patch stamp set. These coordinating framelits are called Flower Fair. So I just used this little one up here to cut out my little flower that's going to accent the darker flower on here. So let's get started. There's not very much to this card. It's real easy to do. You've got a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of Whisper White paper scored at 4 1/4, and then I just go ahead and fold this up. And then I've got I'm using a new designer paper called Back to Black, and I'm just going to use a couple of strips of it. Now on this little measurement, I said it's 1 by 5.5. That's ultimately what it gets to be, but I just cut the designer paper in half. So I have 1 by 6 inches here, and I'll just trim that up in a bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put some snail down, and then I'm going to set my designer paper right here along the edge of the card all the way up, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And again, taking my designer series paper and making sure now that the flowers go in the same direction, I will set this in, and there is this is where we should be at now with the card. Now I'm just going to take a scissors and trim that even with the card. Actually, I'll do it from this side. There we go. And now, let's see. So we can set that aside. Now what we need is another piece of Whisper White paper. This is 3.5 by 5.5. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our 2.5 inch circle punch, and we're going to insert it, and then we are going to kind of center that in the punch so that it's about the same on both sides, and punch out. Then all we need to do is set this on top of our paper and do our stamping, but it's kind of hard to see where to stamp because it's white on white. So to alleviate that problem, I just took another piece of paper cut to the same size as the white one, except in a different color, and then I can just set this on here. I can ink up my photopolymer stamp that I'm using from Flower Patch. I'm using the new Memento Black ink. Really is a nice ink. So I'm just going to set this here, and then I can see exactly where my stamping needs to go. There we go. So now our card is stamped, and now we're going to go ahead and we're going to stamp the sentiment onto this piece. So I've got Happy Blooming Birthday here, and that gets stamped just like this. All right, and now the next thing is we're going to bring a new tool into the picture. Actually, Stampin' Up has carried this at various times in the past, and now they've brought it back again. This is the Texture Boutique, and so what we're going to do is we're going to take this panel that we just stamped, and then using this new machine, it's just for embossing. I have the panel that is like the base panel. I have a shim. Then I have my new embossing folder, and we're going to set this in here, and close the top. And this embossing folder is called Lovely Lace, but I think it looks like an explosion of flowers, and so I thought it went really well with the Flower Patch stamp set. So I'm going to set this right here, and then we're going to put our other press plate over the top. And now we just grab the Texture Boutique, and it's an embossing machine, and we're just going to roll this all through. Now it does take a few more cranks than the Big Shot machine because it is not made to cut anything. It's just for embossing folders, and so you won't have quite the power that a Big Shot has, but the small size, it makes it kind of nice just to have it right on your desk as you're working. And so let's take a look at how this worked. And look at that, it embossed just beautifully. All right, and then I'm going to give you one more tip. When you get this machine, you will find that the shim is just exactly the same size as the plates. And I discovered that when you roll it through the Texture Boutique, what happens is sometimes this edge will catch on the side. There's very little wiggle room. And so what I did is I just cut my shim down a little bit. Just kind of cut, you know, it has rounded corners. I just basically cut it to square corners, and that really helps a lot so it doesn't catch on the sides as you're embossing. All right, so now all we need to do is adhere this to the front of our card, and you're going to want to put your dimensionals. I put 5 of them on, 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom, and 1 in the middle. And then we're just going to center that right over our card like this. There we go. And now we just need to add our accent. And so I found that a real quick way to make these little flower cutouts is, instead of cutting the glimmer paper into little squares and running it through the Big Shot machine, I went ahead and I actually punched out circles. And so I put, this is a, I think this is a 1 3/8 inch circle punch, and it just has this darling little punch out that I cut with the Flower Fair framelit. Or here's a little bit bigger one. This is the 1 3/4 inch circle punch, and then I went ahead and ran the embosser through, and I thought this looked like a silver dollar, you know, something you'd find on the beach. I don't know, can you see how sparkly and pretty that is? So this inspired me to make another card, and this card is a beach scene card that my customers will get to make in August at Sunshine Club. So this is just a sneak peek for them. This is the front of the card, and this is the inside of the card, so we'll get to use both of those, which is good because I have a lot of those left over from all of my convention swaps. Now I'm just going to take a little multi-purpose liquid glue and just add a little bit of glue to the back of this cutout. And then we're going to set that right onto the front of our card. And then, because I did so many swaps using this, I was of course running out of the candy dots, the black candy dots. So I just took my Sharpie marker, my black Sharpie marker, and you can just color these in, and it makes a great black candy dot. And so that's what I did. You can see all the little circles where I was coloring. Actually, I'll hold the white. And then to put it onto my card, I just used a paper piercing tool, which for some reason is not in front of me, so I guess I'll take my scissors. So I'm just going to pull it off with my scissors and set it right onto my flower. It looks like my flower wiggled somehow here. The glue's not quite dry yet. There we go. And our card is complete. Hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for stopping by Stamping to Share. I truly appreciate you. If you ever need to place a Stampin' Up! Order and you don't currently have a demonstrator, you can go to my blog at www.stampingtoshare.com. I'd be more than happy to welcome you as a customer. Have a great day. Bye-bye.